Hey there, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to give you my final thoughts on what it's like to live with the F-150 Tremor on a daily basis. So the truck I'm driving is a 2023 Ford F-150 Tremor finished in the Avalanche Gray exterior with the full leather seating surfaces and the two-tone black and gold interior and exterior accents. Now this truck is equipped with the Tremor High package, which gives you more features and options compared to the standard Tremor, including slightly nicer materials, and of course the seats are going to be full leather versus the partial cloth and leatherette on the standard Tremor, among a host of other equipment. Now this particular truck also is optioned with the 5-liter naturally aspirated V8, which I have to say matches the personality of the truck quite well. But if you're looking for maximum performance and power, the 3.5-liter twin-turbo EcoBoost V6 is likely going to be the way to go, although it likely won't sound quite as nice as this one. Now, if you haven't seen my dedicated likes and dislikes video, make sure to check that one out after this one. There's a lot to like about the Tremor, but as usual, I found a few things that I don't necessarily love. Now, you might be asking yourself at this point, what makes a Tremor a Tremor? Well, actually several things. Now, the Tremor has upgraded suspension and driveline hardware over the standard F-150, increased suspension travel both front and rear, with better approach, breakover, and departure angles, plus a standard rear locking differential with an optional torsion limited slip differential in the front, which is a fairly unique aspect for the full-size truck segment. But of course, we do know from the competitors there's one in particular that does offer front and rear locking differentials. Now, moving back to the F-150, it has standard 33-inch general grabber all-terrain tires with a unique matte 18-inch wheel finish with additional ground clearance and about 1-inch wider stance over the standard F-150 for more confidence when driving off-road. Now, the Tremor also has a Raptor-style bash plate, which serves to protect the front-end components in challenging off-road situations. And all these modifications together give the Tremor 27.6 degrees of approach angle, 21.2 degrees of breakover angle, and 24.3 degrees of departure angle, and about 1.5 inches more travel in the rear suspension over that of the standard F-150, like I mentioned. Now, unfortunately, I am unable to test this vehicle in a suitable off-road environment, but I do like how Ford offers a truck like this in a trim level that is going to be very, very competent off-road. Now, one benefit of the Tremor that I see in particular is the fact that it's not got the wide body stance of that of the Raptor. So if you're looking on more tightly wooded trails and stuff like that, yes, this is still a full-size truck, but it should be a little bit easier to maneuver than that of the Raptor, given the several inch wide body stance. And the Tremor doesn't lose as much capability in terms of towing and hauling and payload as that of the Raptor with the slightly softer suspension. So that's another pro that you might be advantageous to go for the Tremor over something, say, like the Raptor. Now, around the entire vehicle, you'll find unique Tremor styling with, like I said, the goldish yellow accents, which contrast nicely against the mostly dark interior, and will have slightly more contrast on the outside depending on which exterior color you do choose. Now, as a whole, material usage and fit and finish is good on the cabin, but I wouldn't say it's quite necessarily perfection. Some of Ford's switchgear has been used for quite some time over the last couple generations, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I would say carrying over from generation to generation does make it slightly dated on terms of the overall aesthetics and, looking at the same switchgear over several years. So that is just something that I would say notice inside of many recent Ford vehicles. But what isn't dated on the inside of the Tremor is the updated technology. Now, this truck has the 12-inch infotainment system with the fully digital gauge cluster that is somewhat configurable via the steering wheel controls. Both are very easy to use and work quite well. I really didn't see any glitches or noticeable hiccups with my time with this truck, which was very good to see. And within the infotainment system itself, you have several nice options, many of which I mentioned in my likes and dislikes video, such as the Pro Power on board and the LED exterior zone lighting. Now, the interior work surface is a great option for those that need to work out of their truck on a frequent basis, whether it be a laptop, just a flat surface for papers, clipboards, anything like that. And it does also include the somewhat chintzy feeling shifter that automatically retracts into the dashboard with the push of a button. I would say it is very functional, but it does seem somewhat cheap the way it is implemented. And also the work surface, as a side note, also makes for a great table for those lunch on the run type situations. So if you need to eat inside your truck, you might want to option the work surface just for the amount of space that it does offer. Now, most of the other buttons feel good on the inside, and the features do what they are supposed to for the most part. Like other off-road vehicles from Ford or other manufacturers, this truck does also feature auxiliary switches. These are located in the overhead console. There's going to be 6 of them, and allow you to hook up additional accessories and control them from inside of the cabin. So if you want to add LED auxiliary lighting, maybe a possible winch up front or other accessories, this truck has you covered with 6 different auxiliary switches. Now, in the back seat, you'll find a copious amount of space with heated rear seats, USB charging, and cup holders galore. The rear seats do fold up and give you a mostly open flat floor for dry storage if you need it inside of the cabin. It also doesn't make a terrible place to just hang out, honestly, if you need to lay down for just a few minutes, take a break, or just spread out with the available space with the seats folded up. So quite large in the back seat if you do need that additional space, whether it be for storage or just hauling cargo or passengers around. Now, when it comes to how the truck drives, well, it's actually better than one might think. Even though it has enhanced off-road performance over that of the standard F-150, it still does ride extremely well with fairly good handling for a truck of this stature, again considering the all-terrain tires 33-inch in diameter. Handling is as expected with mildly loose steering input, but it does well enough with the input that it does change directions fairly nicely. Again, all things considered for the off-road capability that it has. And there are several different drive modes to choose from depending on the terrain that you're driving over, including an off-road mode for nearly every situation. Now, the power comes from a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 and is quite adequate, but like I said, if you want the maximum output potential, the 3.5-liter EcoBoost is likely the way to go. Both are paired to a 10-speed torque-converted automatic transmission. Shifts came fairly smoothly for upshifts, but I did find some rough, harsh behavior when it came to certain downshifts. Not a deal breaker to me, but it is quite alarming considering the 13,000 miles on this particular truck. The interior cabin is actually quieter than I was expecting given the all-terrain tires, but any noise that did make it here on the inside could be mostly drowned out by the premium audio system. The audio system is quite good for a vehicle like this. I would expect slightly more bass or low-end performance and a little less hollow sounding from the door panels in specific, but it was fairly refined, and I did like how the volume increments were very coarse in nature. So if you changed it just 1 or 2 increments, you could totally notice a difference in the overall output or sound volume versus other vehicles that use 50, 60 increments. I don't think you need that many on the inside. So overall, I really did like that about the F-150, but I didn't like how the audio steering wheel controls were on the left and right hand side, but that's not a Ford specific thing. Other manufacturers do it as well. I would prefer all the audio controls to be located on the left side. Now, when it comes to the fuel economy, I know this isn't a focus of trucks like this, but the computer said I was averaging about 14.5 mpg over my week with mostly in-town city driving, which really isn't too far off of the EPA estimates of 15 mpg city. So if that was truly what I was getting in this truck, I would say that was very accurate and nice to see fairly close to the EPA estimates. So to wrap up this quick POV drive, the F-150 Tremor is a great option if you're looking for substantial off-road performance in the full-size truck space without sacrificing too much in terms of towing, hauling, and payload capabilities. With an updated F-150 right around the corner for the 2024 model year, this current generation remains a solid option for anyone looking for a newer truck, tons of options, feature, and attractive styling. So if you're looking for my quick bullet points on this particular truck, I think the exterior styling is very good on the F-150 lineup and the Tremor in specific. Off-road capability is certainly there with the increased ground clearance, the larger 33-inch diameter tires, the standard locking differential out back, and the optional torsion limited slip in the front among all the other drive modes and the trail controls and stuff like that. I think the ride was very comfortable and competent. It had a fairly quiet cabin again for the all-terrain tires. I think this particular trim, being at the higher end of the spectrum, is quite feature packed. No matter if you get the base or the high package, you get a lot of the nice technologies, including the larger 12-inch infotainment screen. The interior cabin volume is quite large, so if you need the back seats for anything or just need a lot of space, most full-size trucks do offer a huge cabin. Pro Power on board is a nice kind of class exclusive feature with the available output that it does offer, and the LED zone lighting on the exterior is going to be a nice option as well. Again, a kind of class exclusive feature in that regard, that you can kind of control where the lighting is projected on the outside. So that's pretty much going to wrap up this quick POV review. I want to give a huge thanks to Ford for sending out this truck for me to test and review for you guys. Make sure you guys stay tuned here on the channel for future Ford products, including the big brother to this truck, the Ford F-150 Raptor R.